Welcome to Taiwan Report News Brief, news and analysis from Taiwan. I'm Donovan Smith. Up today in the program, some are grateful and others not so much for Taiwan's help. The White House reached out to Taiwan over masks. John Bolton calls for U.S. to recognize Taiwan. Taiwan says China has no legal right to represent Taiwan in the UN. The government warns of Chinese militia and the threat they pose. Local baseball is a big hit overseas. The King of Hualien is flabbergasted at Han's attempts to halt the recall. And finally, the ever-shrinking Huangfuhsing want to stop shrinking. But of course, first, coronavirus news. In Focus Taiwan, the headline reads, Taiwan reports no new COVID-19 cases for second time this week. Moving on to the Taipei Times, the headline is PTT Post rang alarm over virus, CDC's law. Centers for Disease Control Deputy Director General Philip Law yesterday said that a post on Professional Technology Temple, or PTT, was what on December 31st last year alerted him about a disease outbreak in Wuhan, China. About 3 a.m., a CDC doctor specializing in disease prevention had shared information from a post on PTT. Now, the original post was made on PTT at about 2 a.m., he said, adding that he was the CDC spokesman at the time. He often woke up at about 5 a.m. to look at reports. After seeing the information his colleague had shared, Law said he, quote, felt from a professional standpoint that it was different from typical tip-offs. In the Taipei Times, foreign SME operators eligible for loan subsidies. Foreign owners of registered small and medium enterprises are eligible for loan subsidies. According to the SMEA Director General, he said yesterday that adding that they can call the 1988 English Language Service Hotline if they have any questions. The hotline is manned by 3 staff members who are fluent in English, but they have not received any calls from foreign business owners. A number of public relations specialists employed by the government agencies who speak Korean or Japanese have also been enlisted by the hotline, urging people to seek their assistance if needed. However, branch offices of multinational companies are not eligible for the loans, as the agency is concerned that some might wire the money from the loans from domestic banks to their headquarters overseas. Also in the Taipei Times, loans for small businesses planned. Small businesses that need to be bailed out amid the COVID-19 pandemic would be eligible for a tax-free loan of 500,000 NT, and the central bank would start accepting applications as soon as next week. As small businesses are exempt from issuing receipts, they would be able to secure the loan after undergoing a simple credit history check without having to provide a financial statement. After passing the review, the loan would be disbursed within 3 days. Continuing in the Taipei Times, KMT leaders nationwide call for cash, not coupons. KMT members across the nation yesterday called on the government to issue cash handouts, not discount coupons, as part of bailout plans to alleviate the effects of COVID-19 on the local economy. Countries around the world are issuing cash handouts to boost domestic economies, KMT Chairman Johnny Chang told a news conference at the Taipei City Council, citing the U.S., which issued coronavirus stimulus checks on Wednesday. Now, asked for comment, President Tsai said there are 2 stages in the government's handling of the virus's effects, the relief stage and then the recovery stage. But many people, including the KMT, are not familiar with the policy instruments suitable for each stage. For example, the government could introduce measures to let businesses obtain low-interest loans and tax payment deferrals or subsidize employees' salaries hit by the pandemic, she said, adding that it is crucial to spend the money on the right people. Cash handouts are a fraction of the policy instruments available during this stage, and they should be given out only to targeted groups that need the help the most, Tsai said, adding that dishing out money indiscriminately to everybody would be a waste of fiscal resources. The recovery stage begins when the pandemic slows, the time when a suffering economy needs a push, Tsai said. The best way to revitalize the economy during this stage is by using discount coupons, a tool that experience has proven to be more effective than cash at stimulating local consumption. In another part of the same article, separately, the Tainan City Councilor, leader of the Council DPP caucus, said that the KMT could sell its ill-gotten party assets and issue cash handouts to people, or use the gains to buy masks, acting on disease prevention slogans. Officials of the Ill-Gotten Party Assets Settlement Committee on Wednesday urged the KMT to promptly return 76.8 billion NT of assets to state ownership, saying that the committee has been waiting since its establishment in 2016. Moving on to the Taiwan news, Taiwan MRT passengers down over 50% since start of coronavirus outbreak. Apple's mobility trends show more people staying home, driving instead of taking public transport. In the Taipei Times, the headline reads, "Airport to reduce boarding gates, Lin." With passenger traffic plunging, Taoyuan Airport is to close 20 of its 38 boarding gates from today to save on costs and facilitate renovations, the transport minister said. In Focus Taiwan, the headline is, "Number of furloughed workers increased by over 6,000 in 7 days." The number of furloughed workers in Taiwan jumped more than 6,000 in 7 days Wednesday, passing 14,800 in total. Again, in Focus Taiwan, the headline is, "Wife of Singaporean PM apologizes to Taiwan's president." Again, He Qing, the wife of Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong, apologized to Taiwan President Tsai on Thursday for sharing a video that criticized her political party. She went on to appreciate the actions of Taiwan here. He wrote of a meeting with a Singaporean mother whose son suffered from serious tinnitus, a loud, persistent ringing in the ear, and was able to recover after undergoing treatment in Taiwan. Quote, "Taiwan was a lifesaver for the son," He said, adding, "So for this and many other ways of support, I fully applaud Taiwan." The video she shared along with a written post, however, did not mention the story of the Singaporean boy, but was a clip from a political commentary show. The cover photo of the video showed an image of Tsai next to the words, "Mask diplomacy fail." They went on to criticize the DPP, accusing them of overindulging Taiwanese citizens, among other things, and said the relationship between Taiwan and Singapore has become hopeless. Now, He said, quote, "I owe the president of Taiwan a personal apology and hope to make amends in calmer times." And she went on to say that she did not agree with some parts of the video that were clearly biased domestic political fights. Despite apologizing, she did not take down the video. Moving on to the Taiwan news, German government spokespersons avoid mentioning Taiwan. 2 German government spokespersons recently avoided mentioning Taiwan, instead thanking other countries for supplying masks in the fight against the Wuhan coronavirus pandemic. I'm glad that you're listening to other countries' report. Taipei Times, Taiwan donating 2 million masks to Japan. Ministry, Taiwan will certainly thank Taiwan. In Focus Taiwan, PPE supplies reach Taiwan, U.S. under bilateral agreement. By this agreement, Taiwan sends masks to the U.S., 100,000 of them per week, while the U.S. sends raw materials for 300,000 medical protective suits to Taiwan. In the Washington Post, because of a paywall, I can't show you the article, but essentially what happened is that the White House, much earlier than they were saying that the public in the United States should be using face masks, were scrambling to find face masks for themselves. They ended up, several members of the White House staff, or I should say they reached out to, I think it was the Department of State. They remembered that Taiwan was doing quite well, and this is a while ago, reached out to Taiwan quietly, kept this very much on the down low. Taiwan very quietly, because they were not yet exporting face masks out of the country or sending them abroad to help other countries. They quietly shipped a bunch to the U.S., and the White House kept a few thousand for themselves. CNSnews.com, John Bolton responds to China's coronavirus cover-up by recognizing Taiwan. The United States should respond to China's COVID-19 cover-up and Taiwan's efforts in the face of the pandemic by considering restoring full diplomatic relations with Taiwan, former National Security Advisor John Bolton suggested on Wednesday. In RTI, UN resolution doesn't let China represent Taiwan, Foreign Ministry. The Foreign Ministry says that UN Resolution 2758 does not authorize China to represent Taiwan. The Foreign Ministry made this statement Thursday, a day after the WHO said that its exclusion of Taiwan is in line with the resolution. At a press conference in Geneva, a WHO official said that the 1971 resolution calls People's Republic of China the only lawful representative of China. The official also said that WHO, which is under the UN, passed a similar resolution of its own the following year. But the Foreign Ministry has countered that these resolutions only discuss China. They do not call Taiwan a part of China or authorize China to represent Taiwan. The Foreign Ministry is urging the WHO's decision-making body, the World Health Assembly, to uphold its goal of health for all. Now, it's all well and good to make the appeal. The problem is, of course, it seems that the WHO is heavily influenced by the People's Republic. In the Taipei Times, officials warn of Chinese militia. The Ocean Affairs Council yesterday said that it has not ruled out the possibility that China is using maritime militias to provoke cross-strait conflict, even though the Ministry of National Defense said that a clash last month between Chinese fishing boats and Coast Guard Administration vessels was an isolated incident. The majority of Chinese maritime militias are in the East China Seas, as well as the Paracel Islands and the Pratas Islands in the South China Sea. These militias consist of vessels that are indistinguishable from common fishing boats, which allow them to harass and deter ships from other nations to try to assert a sovereignty over the region. Lee mentioned previous incidents, such as when Chinese ships surrounded the USNS Impeccable, an unarmed surveillance ship in international waters, a standoff at Scarborough Shoal, in 2012, when a Chinese oil rig clashed with Vietnamese vessels in 2014, when 200 fishing boats, including 7 China Coast Guard ships, surrounded the Diaoyutai Islands in 2016. While there's been no sign that these tactics have been used in the Taiwan Strait, the possibility of Beijing harnessing informal forces to provoke conflicts at sea could not be excluded. Taipei Times headline reads, Groups voice opposition to lay judge system bill. Civil groups yesterday joined the Taiwan Jury Association and the New Power Party in opposing the Judicial Yuan's proposed lay judge system bill, instead calling for a jury system which they said would curtail corruption, so-called dinosaur judges, and political interference. Now, if this law is passed, it will be scheduled for implementation by 2023. Now, the groups called the bill fake judicial reform, saying that it made a false promise to allow citizen participation in the judicial system. Quote, the jury system allows true citizen participation in the courts. It is the primary system for justice worldwide and is used in 52 nations, including the U.S. and the U.K. Hong Kong has used it for more than 160 years, and South Korea adopted it in 2008. The Judicial Yuan's version of the bill allows citizens to serve as lay judges and work alongside professional judges in criminal trials. But they said this kind of modified framework has only been adopted for use in Japan. The new system is akin to assembling wolves and rabbits together, and what will happen is that the wolves will eat the rabbits. Therefore, the opinions and viewpoints of ordinary citizens would disappear in such a setting. In Focus Taiwan, CPBL game draws 650,000 viewers at home and abroad. The sixth game in Taiwan's Chinese Professional Baseball League was watched by some 650,000 viewers around the world Wednesday, according to 11 Sports, which broadcast the commentary in English. 11 Sports said that about 60% of the viewers on Wednesday were in the United States, while large numbers of people in Japan, South Korea, Brazil, and Argentina also tuned in. Moving on to Yahoo News, a Chinese-language report. Now, this is interesting. Fuquenshi, who's frequently called the King of Hualien and has been served some jail time and it's been involved in some corruption and insider trading. However, he recently won election as an independent lawmaker, defeating both the DPP and the KMT, representing Hualien. Now, he himself is deeply pan-blue, and he supported Han Kuo-yu very, very voraciously during the presidential campaign. However, he said that of Han Kuo-yu's efforts to use legal means to block the recall campaign against him as Kaohsiung mayor, Fuquenshi said that he vigorously opposes it, and he said that he was flabbergasted, or as the expression goes, I fell over unconscious in Chinese, or fainted. Also in Storm Media, another Chinese-language report, this is about the Huangfuhsing. Now, they've got a new committee head, and he says that at one time the Huangfuhsing, which is the military veterans organization or faction within the KMT, they are traditionally very, very powerful and very, very conservative and very much dominated by ROC nationalists. Now, they say here that they used to have 200,000 members in the Huangfuhsing, in the KMT, and they only have 80,000 now that can vote. And so the new committee chair is looking forward to trying to boost those numbers, or win some of them back, at the very least. Now, the problem is, of course, that the Huangfuhsing generally is made up of very elderly people, and a lot of their fellowship is quite simply passing away. That's it for the show today. Be sure to check out Taiwan Report. There are links to all the English language articles that I spoke about today up on the site, plus some other must-read articles that I picked out for you to check out. Of course, hit subscribe. That's the fastest way to get the show. Sometimes it's a little slow being promoted on my personal page or on Facebook. If you're a subscriber to the podcast or on YouTube and you hit the bell next to subscribe, they will notify you and you will be the first people to listen or watch the show. Look forward to tomorrow.
This has been brought to you by the Taiwan Report. For more content like this, become our patron at report.tw.
哎呦，就是那个台湾狗啦，最喜欢我的台湾狗了。